Next, I will break down the law itself because there are lots of bullets. Okay, so Section 2 of the Contract Act 1950, okay, give the general interpretation of a valid contract element, which is offer, acceptance, consideration, intention to create legal relations, certainty, and capacity. Okay, so it is very important, and every single element will depending on the other elements. Okay, so the main factor of the valid contract will be these three: offer, acceptance, and consideration. So offer, acceptance, and consideration. So these three are very important, and then this intention will be depending on the consideration as well, and certainty as well. And the shell of the valid contract will be the capacity of the parties involved to be in the contract. So Section 10 of the Contract Act 1950 define what agreement is a valid contract. So in this question, we need to see a valid contract should be made with free consent, full capacity of the party to be in the contract, and lawful consideration. So there are three important points. Without free consent means there is no an existence of force, undue influence, coercion, or any other negative action in order for the party to be into the contract. And then full capacity. Full capacity means capacity can be defined as the factor that made people eligible to be in the contract. In Malaysia, capacity such as the age of majority, which is 18 and above, and then free from insanity, or we call it as of sound mind. And then the third one, some of the business deal need to be entered by a person who is free from bankruptcy. Okay, Section 10, subsection 1 of the Contract Act 1950 provides the interpretation of a valid agreement. It states that all agreements are contracts if they are made by the free consent of parties competent to contract for lawful consideration, and with a lawful object. That means illegal objects cannot be the consideration of the contract and are not hereby expressly declared to be void. If there is breach of these three elements, then the contract will be void. And I would say that it is be void at the initial of the contract progress. The next one, you have to explain Section 26 of the Contract Act 1950, whereby it says that agreement without consideration is void. What's the evidence? You can refer to Section 26 of the Contract Act 1950, where it states that an agreement made without consideration is void unless blah blah blah. Okay, the unless blah 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 is actually the exception of this statement. Okay, then after that, you have to describe, or you have to define what is actually a valid proposal, or a valid contract, or a valid offer. Section 2 subsection A of Contract Act 1950. Okay, then you take out all the information, all the statement from the statute, and put it in the exam sheet lah, your answering sheet, because you have to explain correctly what is Section 2A. If you can define it by your own words, it's okay, can as well, but then you need to make sure that it doesn't stray from the real meaning of the statute. So, Section 2A of Contract Act 1950 states that when one person signifies to another his willingness to abstain from doing anything, sorry, there's a mistake there, with a view to obtaining the assent of that other to the act or abstinence, he is said to make a proposal. Okay, this is definition straight away from Section 2A of Contract Act 1950. Okay guys, remember to answer law is not that difficult, okay? But make sure every single fact that you put, you have to put evidence. It has to come with the reason why you choose that legislation, that jurisdiction part. Okay, so under Section 2, subsection D of Contract Act 1950, it gives the definition of consideration. Okay, what is consideration? It is stated. You can put straight away what is highlighted by the Contract Act. And then After that, you have to put the reason for you to choose that particular section. Therefore, consideration is an act or abstinence of the agreement by the offeree or any other person as required by the offeror in return for his offer. So that means consideration is actually the return. The return by the acceptance of the offeree, and what is the additional consideration is according to the terms that has been stipulated by the offeror. Okay, literally it means something that is given in return for something else. Okay, so it is clear cut. Next one, section 2 subsection D of CA also provide the consideration can move from one person to another. The evidence, it is in the statute itself. When it says that when at the desire of the promisor, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing. That means it's clearly clear cut saying that the consideration can be done by other party as according to the law lah. Okay. Then under law, you have to include the case as well. It can be one or two cases. I'm okay with that. But then, the most important thing, the case should be or should have the similarity with the situation. Okay. So in this case, I choose Venkata Chinaya against Verikatara Maya in 1881, where the fact of the case, okay, a sister agreed to pay an annuity of 653 to her brothers who provided no consideration for the promise. But on the same day, their mother had given the sister some land stipulating that she must pay the annuity to her brother. That means the consideration has been done by the mother. Okay, the sister subsequently failed to pay the annuity and was sued for breach of contract. Okay. So now, the court held that she was liable to pay the annuity because although it's not the direct consideration, but then there was good consideration for the promise even though it did not move from her brothers. Okay? That means the consideration can be done by the third party as accordingly. Okay? Then we move to the application or the final two parts of our ILAC or IRAC. So application part or analysis part is very important because this is where you have to state your fact, state your reason why the element of the law or the jurisdiction and of course the issue linked together or blended together. Okay, so the situation or the situation in the question should be mentioned as well under the application, and then you have to link it to the previous cases and of course the current jurisdiction. So this is my suggestion answer. Consideration is an act of abstinence of promise by the promisee, okay, which is Jimmy's brother or any other person or their mother as required by the promisor, Jimmy, in return for his promise. So in this case, to give RM1000 monthly for the brother. According to law, when something is given in return for something else, it is clearly shown that there is a consideration that makes the agreement valid. Okay, so you can see that in this case, only the mother and Jimmy provide consideration, whereas the brother did not give any consideration. But as according to section 2 subsection D of the Contract Act 1950, and as according to the case of Venkata Chinaya, consideration can move from the promisee or any other person. Therefore, even though the brothers did not provide any consideration, the agreement is still valid based on the case previously. Yeah? And we reach to the final part. The final part will be the conclusion. The conclusion is not the settlement, but the conclusion is the advice that you as the counsel can give to the parties involved in the case so that the answer settled lah. Okay. So in conclusion, it can be advised that Jimmy is bound to pay RM1000 based on the law that you have stated before. Okay. Monthly to his brothers due to the existence of good consideration as according to the case. Yeah. And the court held, okay, that resulted in the validity of the agreement. Therefore, his brothers have the right to sue him for the breach of contract if he fails to give them RM1000 monthly. Sweet, simple, and comprehensive. So this is what we call it as ILAC or IRAC, the method that normally people will use in order to answer every problematic question or even question in law subject. Okay, so I hope up until now you can understand what I mean about ILAC and IRAC so that you can start practicing And I hope everyone will get benefit from this video, inshallah. Assalamualaikum and a very good day to all of you. Bye.